Today we're going to talk about making prints using a roller, a print press, and this little mini printer. This is a sheet of plexiglass, a cheaper alternative to copper or zinc sheets, but you want to flatten out the edges a little bit, round out the edges, as well as the corners. You don't want it too sharp or it will tear the paper as you are pressing it through the roller. So that looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and trace a subject right now. Obviously you can free draw with this or use a template, but the plexiglass does make it easy to do trace work, so I thought I would demonstrate that today. Once you're done with that, you need to use sharp tools. There's a variety of different things you can use for that. Found objects that are sharp, X-Acto knives or scratch tools, or a more professional steel spike can be used to scratch in the image. What's going to happen is you're going to create a depth to the lines that you want to print black, and you do that by scratching into it. And we're going to spread ink over it and buff the ink off of the raised or flat surface, but the ink that goes into the cracks or scratches that you're making will stay there. Like I said, you can also use metal to do this, but plexiglass is nice because of its transparent nature. Here I'm just cutting off a cheap piece of watercolor paper. There's nothing particularly special about it, and I'm going to soak it first. Okay? It's very important that your print paper is damp. You don't want it to be soaking wet, otherwise it'll spread the ink like crazy. But I get it damp. I use warm water that I dip it in there, and then I'll dry it off with paper towel quite a bit until it is just damp. Nothing puddly about it. I'll lay it down on a glass window or a sheet of plexi to just give it an extra chance to dry flat. Now we'll go ahead and apply the Speedball printer's ink. I just use my finger to rub it into all the grooves that we've created. And then I keep rolling pieces of paper, napkins and paper towels and whatnot, and I just slowly buff that surface off until you start to see your image come through. You don't want to press too hard, otherwise you can wipe the ink out of the cracks. So you sort of want to keep a light but consistent rubbing going on it so that you're left with the image in the cracks. So this is the tiny print press. It was brought to me by better people than myself, so I'll credit in a different video. But this is just for instructional purposes. This little mini press is pretty sweet, but it's not mine. It's on borrow. So lay it in there. I make sure that the screws are tightened enough, that roller is tightened enough that gets good pressure on it. And what's going to happen is, because the paper is damp, the paper fibers are actually going to squeeze into the cracks that are in the plexiglass, and it's going to pick up the ink better because of that. So let's see if it worked out. Did indeed press the fibers into the cracks and picked up the ink a little more boldly than I thought it would. The paper may have been slightly too damp, but generally speaking, it turned out all right. There we have a little mini bug. Now you know the process. Using bigger equipment requires the same methods. Thanks.